Good morning, everyone. This is Tony from her Homestead Skills, and the purpose of today's video is specifically to address some of the concerns, objections that some might have had to the experiment that I conducted using used metal lids with a new rubber gasket, and also the results, the video that I did on the results that I obtained after 100 days. So, first thing I'd like to do is detail some of the objections that I've heard. Okay, well, the first issue is that I've had to change my glasses so I could read this. I do have some notes here so that I could go through all of this in a somewhat concise manner. Hopefully I don't miss a few things. But the first two emails or posts that I received after having put a video out over 3 months ago were so full of nastiness and vitriol that I deleted them. In retrospect, had I known what was causing that or those people to respond to me in that manner, I probably would have left them this time. And perhaps next time, if I have that kind of situation, I'll take a deep breath and leave it a few days until I find out what is going on. But I did take a copy of them and kept notes, so I know exactly what they said. If I could reverse the erasure of their posts, I would do so, but I can't. So I will not say who the people were that left these nasty notes, but I can read through them and we can discuss them. So one of the first things was one individual said, "I cannot believe you are advocating using Tattler gaskets with used metal rings." Okay, well, number one, no one was advocating anything. So it was also an erroneous statement on his part, and I guess I'll just leave it at that. The next part of his comment was, "At best, these will only hold a seal for 30 to 90 days per an email put out by Tattler." Now, I don't think Tattler did put out an email. I'm assuming he is regurgitating verbatim something that was read from a supposed letter that Tattler put out. I mean, the only person who knows if that letter was valid is the person who was reading it. Nobody else got to see that letter. I don't think Tattler has posted that letter on their website or made it available to anybody else, so we'll have to take somebody's word for it that Tattler did state that these would only hold a seal for 30 to 90 days. Well, have they tested it? How do they know? As far as my own testing has proved that so far, at 100 days, they held a pretty good seal. And I have another couple of jars that I'm leaving there, and we could leave them for another 30 to 90 days or another year. It really doesn't matter. I can just leave them there indefinitely and decide to determine if they are holding a seal. Now, 4 jars doesn't tell you very much on it, obviously, but I understand that some other lady is also doing a test with 30 jars. Well, lucky her, she's got access to the rings. I don't. In Canada, I just cannot get the rings or the seals, so I have to come up with another means to be able to test that. I have 1 box of Tattler lids and rings, and some of it I've used as per their package with the plastic lid. Okay. The next comment this person makes is, "I hope someone sues you for this erroneous information." Oh, that's awfully nice. That's really sweet. First of all, anyone could sue anybody for anything, obviously. But they have to prove, number one, that the information is erroneous, or they would end up paying costs for everything in court. That's the way my understanding is, the way the courts work. So he can hope all he wants. Whoever it is that would want to sue me would have to prove their position. So I'm not too concerned about that. Even though they're trying to create some sort of fear, I'm not that, I understand how the court system works. So I'm not that afraid of it. Next. He also says he hopes that no one dies from the botulism by following this video. Well, there I would agree with him. I hope nobody dies from botulism by following what I've done too. But then nobody has suggested that anybody follow anything. No one advocated anything. I was conducting an experiment, and if people don't want to hear that, that's not my problem. Okay, well, so much for that one. Like I said, had I known what was causing all of this, I may not have erased this message. Now, the other thing is, I did look at the video where the individual apparently read a letter that was from Tattler, and yeah, I can understand her creating this fear. There's a lot of fear being created these days. And this particular person's email was pretty much verbatim what she had said in the letter. So he was not even thinking for himself. He was just regurgitating what was stated in that letter, as far as I'm concerned. The next individual, she says, I hope you understand how this bad idea is thus causing Tattler to take their rubber gaskets off the market. Well, why would they take their gaskets off the market? Because people are ordering them? Well, that's a stupid business move. If people want their products, sell it to them. If people are believing that they want to test this out for themselves and determine if it's something that they might keep in the background for security in this day and age, you know, as a backup, give it to them. Sell it to them. What's the issue here? Is it some sort of ideology where you have to sell things the way they decide, or you have to buy their products the way they decide you have to buy them? If people want half of your products and not the other half, sell them the half that they want and you'll still stay in business. If you don't sell any of the products that you make, you will soon go out of business. And that is a poor business decision, and they have a choice to either be part of the problem or part of the solution. And making gaskets available to the public would be part of the solution. The next part of that was, of course, in turn causing shortages for people who use their products the way they're intended. Now we can't get gaskets. Whose fault is that? Is it a manufacturing issue? Can Tattler not deliver the gaskets and they want to blame somebody else? I checked out their competition, and I believe their competition is Harvest Guard, and they have their gaskets available on their website. Unfortunately, not in Canada. 100 pack of each size, available for back order. I think that's a much more intelligent way to go. If you can't deliver today, take the order and fulfill it when you can. And these gaskets are supposed to be good for 6 or 7 times. I don't see how it can cause a shortage for people. But that's me. Anyway, I think that was just another knee-jerk reaction. Okay. The next point she made was that this video should be taken down, as it's about the most unsafe canning madness I've seen in a long time. she hasn't been watching a lot of the canning madness that's been going on. It's probably a lot safer than some of the stuff that I've seen. And of course, to end her comment, she said, if you can't find lids, wait until you can. Well, that's awfully nice, you know, as long as she can get what she wants. To heck with everyone else. Just wait your turn. Oh, yes. And the end of that too was foolishness and so unsafe. I can't even wrap my head around this nonsense. Well, that would be her issue, I suppose. If she thinks it's number 1, foolish, number 2, unsafe, and number 3, nonsense, she doesn't have to deal with it. She can just ignore it and go away and do her own thing and use her own gaskets and plastic lids the way they're intended. No one is telling her to do otherwise. Okay, now that's the 2 nasty emails that I received. As I said, I probably would not have deleted them today had I known what was the cause of all the issues. And then, of course, then we've had, most people have been fairly supportive of my testing of these products. I don't think they were, that they believe that I was advocating anybody do anything, and neither was anyone else. As a matter of fact, it is our viewers who are telling us about it, and yes, me and probably a few other people are putting videos out saying, hey, this is something that you can experiment with and try on your own, and apparently some people are doing it with success, and so far I've done it with success, so I'm not too concerned about it. It's not something most people would do as a first as a preferred way to can their food, I'm sure. It's we have an issue in the market right now, and it's been going on for 2 years, and you would think that it would be resolved by now, but it just seems to be getting worse and worse and worse. So I don't know what they think people should do. Just go buy canned food? I suppose they can just go buy canned food. That would be probably a last resort for people that are accustomed to putting up their own food. I personally would never buy canned tomatoes. They just, every fall I put up 150 jars of tomatoes and more, and that should last me the year. Okay, there's been other issues. The I hope you get sued is another one that I've been hearing. I should be ashamed. I have no idea what I should be ashamed of. Conducting an experiment online, letting other people see that I'm doing it, letting them see the results. That is something to be ashamed of. Should I be ashamed because it was something they don't want anyone to see? I happen to believe this individual actually is not a troll, as he's been labeled, but somebody who perhaps has an affiliation with Tattler. He's far too invested, and his comments seem to show that he's more interested in protecting Tattler than he is anything else. So another comment he made was that 100 days was not enough. Well, if Tattler has conducted this experiment themselves, and they've determined that the seals come loose after 120 days, then I guess the comment of 30 days to 90 days was erroneous, and they should probably take that back and correct it. But that is the information that they've put out, that doing this would only hold the seal for 30 to 90 days. Unfortunately, that's been proven wrong, and they have not said anything otherwise. They have not shown that you get a false seal with this method within that time frame. Okay, you will hurt the small business, and this is what leads me to believe that there is an affiliation with Tattler. I don't think doing this would hurt the small business. I think that the knee-jerk reaction is what is hurting the small business, if they're hurt at all. As I said, the products should not have been taken off the market because of my videos. As a matter of fact, they should be racking up the sales, selling as many rubber gaskets to people as they can, flooding the market with them, and taking back orders if they can't fill the orders today. There's no reason why they can't do that. So that would actually benefit the small business, not hurt it. So that is my take. I've run a business before. I understand that if you don't do sales, the business will fail. And if you're going to take your products off the market, I don't know how you're going to ever sell anything. So that is their own poor decision that would hurt this business, not a video that I've put out. You will make people sick. I don't know how me conducting an experiment is going to make anybody sick. I don't know how sealing jars using my method is any different than using Tattler system or Ball's jars or Bernardin's jars and lids. They all fail. They all have false seals. They all succeed. You know, there's actually there is. I would suspect that the traditional metal lid has a greater success rate than the other methods, and I'm going to get into that in a few minutes. Tattler does not approve. Why would they? Why would they approve? It's I don't know why they would disapprove. It's got nothing to do with them. If you buy one of their products and you use it other than how they recommend, it has no effect on them whatsoever. That is your issue. So whether they approve or not is irrelevant. It's so wrong. Well, maybe somebody can explain to me exactly what is wrong before I accept that. And one of the most interesting ones that I've actually gathered some jars together to go over is that two different products don't belong together. And I go, this is really neat. So I'm going to take the camera over and I'll get back to you in a minute. Okay, so I have assembled quite an array of canning jars here, and I'm going to go through them just to give you a bit of an indication of what I'm dealing with here and where I'm going with this. I have a couple of these old crown jars with glass lids and a rubber gasket and a ring to hold them in place. So it's a 3-piece sealing system. Okay. And this is old technology. I think it began in the 1800s and probably lasted up until 1962 before it was taken off the market. You can still find these jars and you can still buy sealing rings for them, so they are still usable today. Now that is just a pint and a quart jar of the old glass top lids. Then we have I believe this is called bale wire type. So once again you have the metal that holds the sealing ring and glass top together. Just a different method of holding this jar sealed. Now I've never used this for canning. I don't know if anyone has. If they have, maybe they can you know, if they've used it for water bath canning or whatever, but mostly people I think just use this for dry storage today. But it's similar technology laid out differently. Then we have the two new ones on the block, which is the WEC system, which once again is a glass lid with a rubber gasket. And this one just uses metal clips to hold, but once again, it's a three-piece to hold the lid in place. And then, of course, we have Tattler and Harvest Guard, who also have a three-piece system. They have the rubber gasket, the lid, which is now plastic rather than glass, and of course the metal ring to hold it all in place. And all of these have one thing in common. All of these use a three-piece system to seal the food into the jar. Of course, the other thing they have in common is that they're using a glass jar. This one also has that in common. They're using a glass jar. This is today's modern product with a metal lid and a ring. Okay, so this one here is a two-piece system. What they have done is they've embedded the rubber gasket onto the lid. And that's why you have less failures with this. You don't have rings that are not seated properly. A whole bunch of things that could go wrong, don't go wrong, because instead of dealing with three pieces and setting them right, you're only dealing with two pieces. So, the one thing that these all have in common is that they use a rubber gasket to seal everything. So I don't understand what two things don't belong together mean. Rubber gaskets are very commonly used in a lot of applications to get a good seal. So that is the one thing that all these jars have in common. Tattler included, Harvest Guard included. So what is it that doesn't belong? Who is it that's making the product that doesn't belong? And why does it not belong? So once they can inform me of what that is, then maybe we can discuss that. But for now, if they don't belong together, explain why. Now, it appears as though gaskets, if one firm won't supply gaskets for you, another one may. If not, these are products that are made to replace worn out gaskets here, as long as you get the right size. And I have actually taken one of those and I have cut them back, trimmed them back. Not a great job, but it will work on my Tattler plastic lid. At least it'll fit. Now, I've not experimented with these yet. I may do so. They are actually, once again, thicker than Tattler's product. So whether they'll work in sealing properly is can only be determined with testing. So I bought a package of 6 of these for $3. So that means they're about 50 cents a piece. A little more costly than 12 rubber rings here that you can get for $1.99 for the old system. Unfortunately, these don't fit on either a wide mouth or a regular lid. I do understand that Viceroy does carry rubber rings for regular mouth and wide mouth. I haven't been able to locate a retail outlet. And I guess the only thing I can do is phone Viceroy and find out who carries their product and where it can be purchased, because that would be ideal if they are still manufacturing this product. And I suspect if there's a market for them, probably some Chinese firm will be making them. I do understand that there are silicone seals available. I don't know that silicone has the same quality as rubber does. I've never tested silicone seals. I don't know if they work, but I know that they are available. So silicone, yes, I don't know if it will conform and hold the seal. I would suspect that silicone will release quicker than rubber. So that's just my assumption. Once again, never know until you actually try. Okay, so that is the balance of what I've got to offer based on the objections that I've received. If anyone has any objections regarding this video, they're certainly free to voice them, and I'll see if I can address them in the future. I hope this has been helpful. Anyway, this is Tony from Her Homestead Skills, and we'll catch you on the next video. Bye for now.